Hello everyone, welcome to my capstone project about creating a earnings analyzer chatbot. The theory is that when companies release earnings, for example, this is the latest Microsoft quarterly earnings release. It's a combination of some text, typically in earnings called transcript, and there are financial statements, namely income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow. So these are numbers in an Excel sheet. So the aim here is to use this data as a founding stone for creating an earnings chatbot that can integrate this data and then answer your questions around it. So here's an example of where I've created a data set with the earnings data. I've uploaded the numeric data as CSVs and then the earnings call transcripts as text. So in the Kaggle notebook, we'll start by making sure that the earnings data set is accessible, create get all the prerequisites in place. These are the same statements that you'll see in the Kaggle notebooks that were used as part of this course. And here's where we start kind of getting the data into the format that it'll be read by the chatbot. So in the first step, I'm loading all the numeric data into a SQLite database. So I've already gone ahead and done that. So I've loaded quarterly income data, yearly income statement, then there's some data around business segments and some things about product revenue history. So just think of this as different types of data. So if I list tables here in my SQLite database, you can see there are like 4 tables that are created. And then I can go ahead and describe each one of those tables. So that way I know what are the columns for each one. And here's the key thing, right? About you need to be able to run select queries against the tables. So now, for example, then you can also create a chatbot just on this functionality alone. And this is again something that was shown in the course itself. So I'm just using the same sample code, and I can send a message like this. So instead of total revenue, let's say I'm just keeping it simple and using the exact column names, but you should see it's actually see the sequence of events for it to get to the data, right? And then you can also do some calculations like this where I'm asking for a calculation of compound annual growth rate. And let's change this to, so let's say up to, so here's what it's doing, right? It's calculating, going to this table and finding the gross margin. And then it's able to understand that when I say CAGR, what is the formula for it? And then the formula gets implemented here. So this is really cool stuff that you can do with SQLite. Similarly, you can actually uh, define, give it a definition of what you want calculated. So here I'm saying take the gross margin and divide by total revenue and average it out across the years. And it does that step by step. So this is kind of like a chain of thought reasoning that it's doing here. And then I can also give it specific instructions to say, okay, I want you to again do this step by step. I'm actually giving it the formula and it's able to kind of implement that. So now once I've given it the formula to say average quarterly revenue for a particular product, I can just say, okay, now use the same logic and give me for a different product. And you can see it's able to do the same thing. So that is step one, which is basically loading the numeric data into SQLite. Now, step two is about loading uh, text files into Chroma. So here I've written a specific function called combine three texts. Now this is because I only had three text files, but I can could easily extend this to any number of text files. Right? So and then I'm not only giving the file names, I'm also giving the metadata. So this is useful when you are making queries against the file. And then I'm just using standard code to load into a Chroma database. And then this piece of code is just to enumerate. So for example, here if I run this, you can see it's enumerating the collection and just giving you the first 50 characters of each document. And it's found one, two, three documents as expected. And then there are queries here. Again, these are derived from the other Kaggle notebooks for the course that you can do querying against individual documents. And I've just hidden the output because it tends to give a long output like this. So, so at the end of this, I have a way to now query against the text which is stored in um, Chroma, and then previously I have query capability against SQLite. So now let's see this in action. This is still, this piece is about querying the Chroma database, so you can ignore that. Okay, so here we are at the point where we initiate a chat model, and this is where you have some uh, understanding within the model based on the keyword as to does it need to go to the database to answer the question, or does it go to the Chroma or something else, right? Which is basically to go to the internet. So let's see this in action. So I have the chat here, so let me go ahead and do something like this. So I'm saying summarize the earnings call, what was the guidance given into 5 bullet points. So here it clearly went into the text part. And let's see if this the SQL query using again SQLite works here or not. This has been a little bit hit or miss. So yeah, this doesn't seem to work because I need a way to provide schema, but that's the general idea here is to be able to chat using the context and retrieve either from Chroma or SQLite.